Hey everybody, I wanted to do a real quick tutorial, well not really tutorial, but more of the same paper piecing that I've been doing for my bookshelf quilt. I wanted to do that today since the last 4 weeks were kind of a whirlwind with the mystery quilt. I got mine finished, well at least the top behind me you could see, and it turned out pretty good, I think. Anyway, I also wanted to let you know that next week I'm going to do a live on binding. So just basic binding, but I think it might be something that a lot of you might enjoy. I don't know if you haven't watched any tutorials on binding. Maybe you can stitch along with me. It would be great. If you want to do that, if you want to stitch along with me next week, you'll need a few things. You'll need 2 squares of fabric, the same size. Make a placemat or a coaster, it doesn't matter. Just something that you can put binding around while we do it. And you'll need 1 square of batting, same size. So you're going to make a sandwich, right? A quilt sandwich. You're going to need some fabric for the binding. We will cut and make our own binding, and I can show you different ways to do that. And then we're going to attach it. So you'll need your machine, and then the needle and thread for stitching the back. I do my front by machine and my back by hand, so I want to show you how to do that. That is an applique stitch, so it will give you a look at how to do an applique even. So if you want to join me, that would be great. The thread that you need to do the hand part of it needs to match the color of the binding that you choose. So whatever color fabric you choose for the binding, get something close, and that will work. Okay, and then last for that tutorial, you'll need, it's a 1/4 inch seam, so you'll need to be able to sew a 1/4 inch seam either with the 1/4 inch tape or a 1/4 inch foot, whatever, on your machine. So I think that'll cover that. It should be fun. I'm looking forward to it, showing you how I do binding. There are a lot of ways you can add to it to make it elaborate binding, but I'm just going to show the basics on how to do that. So join me. That would be great. So let's get started on today. I wanted to do the, I'm going to make a potted plant, and it's a witch's potted plant, so it's got thorns. So anyway, here we go. Let's see. There we go. Okay. Oh, actually, I want to show you the slide. This is the plant I'm making. I'm not making the books today, just the plant. So, see, it's got little thorns. So, here we go. Okay. So, it's made in parts, and this is something new that I really haven't touched on in my last tutorials. This is the pot here, and then these are the parts of the plant. Okay. Now, on here you see that there's a, can you see this? A, B, C, D. I guess that's just whatever. There's nothing on that one. I guess that would be E. Oh, there it is, E at the bottom. And then this is F. So what they've done is right here on paper piecing patterns that you download or whatever, you'll see these little diagrams like this. And that that tells you what to sew to what. So in this case, they're telling me once I get each one of these units, when I get the fabric sewn on this unit and so forth, then I'm going to take those units and I'm going to sew them together in this order. I'm going to sew D to E, C to D and E together, B to C, D, and E together, and so forth until you get all of it put together. And it's a specific order you need to sew it in, okay? So we're going to cut this apart and start sewing. Oh. It was warmer this morning than it is now outside. It is the most bizarre weather. here. There's A, B, C. Come on, there we go. D and E. Now you'll notice that these have the, see that very faint line that goes around the outside? That's the seam allowance. So that inside line is the edge of the block where it'll be sewn to the next block or whatever. So they've included the seam allowance, which is nice. So I'm going to do those. Last, I'm going to start with the easy one, with the potted plant. Now, with the pot, I want to take off all this excess because we don't need it. I'm looking forward to next week doing the binding tutorial. Hopefully people will join and can ask questions and stuff. Okay, so on the paper piece pattern, that's hard to say, paper piecing pattern, there are numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's the order that I want to do these in. So 1 is the main body of the pot, which I have chosen this color. Kind of like a terracotta thing. I'll lay that on there and just cut me off a piece. Okay. Oops. All right. Now, as we've always done, you're going to put glue on the back of 1, and then there's 2, right? So I'm going to do what I showed you in the last video, and I'm going to fold it back this way first, just to get that crease. And that way, when I put this on here, then I can crease it back on that line the other way. Okay. All right. So one thing I want to point out is I went to the dollar store and thought, oh, I can get glue sticks at the dollar store. That'd be awesome because they're like super cheap, right? Like there's 4 in a package and they're like really cheap. But they're horrible. This particular brand, okay, is really bad. I mean, it doesn't. It's almost like lotion. I don't know. Maybe they got their machines mixed up or something. Who knows? Anyway, I just wanted to let you know that it's worth getting this one. Okay. So my 2 cents worth. Take it for what it is worth. Probably about 2 cents. Okay. So I'll put the glue on there. Put this on here. Pattern numbers down, facing down. Fabric facing right side up. Flip it over. Find the line between 1 and 2. Fold it back on that line. Now that's the line that I creased earlier, so I know where to find it. It's right there. And then I'm going to take my ruler. Not that anymore. Put that over here. Okay. Take my ruler. Trim this off. Okay, 1/4 of an inch. I trimmed that off, right? Just like we've done before. Now, number 2 is going to be the background on my bookcase, which is brown. I don't know if this is going to fit. Probably not. I'll find a different piece. Off camera, there's like all kinds of fabric over here. Oh, here we go. This will work. Alright. So, lay this on here. Can you see that? Yeah? Okay. Okay. And I can actually cut off the excess here. Okay. So, I've laid that on there. this way and stitch on the line. I didn't stitch all the way up, I just stitched to where the line ended. Alright, I'm going to fold that out. Finger press it out. Okay, 1, 2, 3 is over here. Fold 3 back on the line. Like that. Cut our 1/4 inch seam allowance off here. Okay. And then where's that piece that I just threw off? Oh, there it is. That's going to be my other side. Sweet. And this time I'm starting at the top where the line starts. Right there. So you can kind of see the pot taking shape there. All right, and this one only has one more piece on it. It's piece 4, which is the top of the pot. Folding it on the line, using my 1/4 inch ruler. And the top of my pot, I wanted to do this. I thought that would be pretty. It's just wide enough for this block, so I have to make sure that it lines up and I'm not off one side or the other. So, okay. All right. There's the top. Okay. Now that does not look like a pot, does it? Well, it looks sort of like a pot. But now I'm going to trim it. And you want to trim your blocks. When they provide a seam allowance like this, you want to trim it on that outside line, which should be 1/4 inch from the inside line. That's a big enough piece to save for something. So I was talking to a friend yesterday, and in one of my other videos, I mentioned using gift wrap paper to do this kind of thing. And then I said that I don't know if you'd want to run that through your printer or not. But we were talking yesterday, and I didn't realize that one of the really cool things you could probably do with it is wrapping paper comes in such large sheets that you could actually do string foundation piecing on it and then cut out larger items like the pieces for a jacket or a bag or something like that. So you'd have a quilted bag in the end product, and the sheet would give you a continuous large surface to do your foundation piecing on. So I'm going to try that and see how that works. So that has nothing to do with the printer. You just do the string piecing on it, you know, crumb quilting, whatever, until you get out to the outside edges, and then you lay it down. It's a piece of fabric at that point, and cut out your pattern pieces. So I don't know. I'm going to try it. So anyway, there's my pot. Isn't that cute? I like that. All right. So now we're going to take these and do these little bitty guys. So this is, it doesn't matter what order you piece these in because you're doing it separately. So it does matter where they are though. I don't have that. Okay. I think that's a thorn. Okay, so my thorns, I chose yellow just for fun. And 1 and 3 are background. So between 1 and 2, I'm going to crease it so I can see it on the other side. Yeah. All right. Get my glue stick. All right. This is why I save these little pieces of fabric, because they work really great for this. Okay, so I stuck that down. Cut off the excess. Okay. So my pattern's on this side. My fabric is right side up over here. So then I'm going to recrease this the other direction. And cut off my 1/4 inch seam allowance. There. And put on my little thorn. Now, let's see. I have a couple of these thorns to do. I think I'll cut this in half. It's so small. Okay, so I'm going to cut this diagonally and then put it on here like that. Okay. All right, now I'm going to stitch between 1 and 2. This is what I love about this technique, is I'm going to stitch this tiny little thorn and never have to deal with tiny little pieces. Okay, so I stitched between 1 and 2. And then same technique as always. Fold it out. Fold it back between, you see that? Between 2 and 3. There. Cut off all of this business. Alright, so there's that. This is my thorn right here, this little bitty thing. And all I have to do is just lay it flat and put on the next piece of background. And stitch on the line. Okay. how did I stitch a red thread in there? Seriously. Okay. Okay, see how sharp that is? That point? There is no way that you can do that by just winging it, by just putting the pieces together. No way. Now, unfortunately, I'm going to have to redo that one because you see my fabric is going off this way. Well, right, I'll show you. Right here is the seam allowance. It's out here. So I didn't make it in that area. So I used too small a piece. So I'll just cut it apart. Easy peasy. And that red thread is still in there. Crazy. All right. We're going to try that again. Bigger piece. Nope. Ha. That should work. Okay. Wait, you know what? I'm going to make sure it's going to work. I'm going to lay it this way, right? And make sure that it's down far enough. Oh, it's wide enough. This is crazy, guys. Here we go. Okay, this one will work. See, it will definitely fit, so I'll put it on there. Now. All right, let's do that again. Ta-da! Yay. Okay. There we go. Now, see how sharp that is? Ta-da! Okay. And then I just turn it over and trim it. The last 4 weeks were crazy with the mystery quilt. I hope you watched it. It was fun. If you didn't watch it, it's up there. It's a free pattern. Have fun. I'm doing another one at Halloween time. Thinking about maybe right before Halloween. Maybe we'll finish it up on Halloween. Halloween is my favorite time of year. This potted plant pattern is free. It can be found at the Fandom Stitches website, which is down in the description below. They have a lot of really neat patterns. So there's the piece. Okay, put it up there with that one and keep going. There's another site for paper piecing patterns that are that are free, and she has some for sale. She's been around forever and ever. I've been collecting her patterns forever, and it's called Paper Panache. You can do a search for that. I'll put a link in the description after the video. great site for paper patterns. Okay, this is, I believe, what is that? That is part of the stem. We're going to say that's part of the stem. I have no idea. So I chose this green for stem. There we go. Okay. Oh, no, not quite right. There we go. Oh, and I already have a decent seam allowance there. Perfect. Okay. 2 is a background. Use this one we used before, but without the red thread. Okay. If you're watching, say hi. I'd love to talk to you. Talk with you, whatever. Okay. Two and three. That's really bugging me. I gotta find out. Hang on a second, people. I don't want to put the wrong thing in the wrong place. Hang on. Okay. There we go. All right, I'm doing C, that's background. Okay. All right. So 3 and 4 here are both background and they're attached. It's kind of weird because, like, okay, why wouldn't I just do the whole thing? Well, because you have to do it, paper piecing, you have to do in straight lines. So you have to do like 3 and then cut off 3 on the edge here and do 4. So, okay, so 3, let me get my 1/4 inch allowance here. Okay, and so we've got 2 pieces of background, they're very small. This one can be this one. Okay. Like that, I think. Yep. Yep. 1, 2, 3. I'm doing 3. The thing I love about this is that you're putting these pieces together and it does not look like anything. It's like, are you serious? That's really going to look like something. And then when you put it all together, it's like, wow. Okay. All right. So see, we cut that piece that we just put on there. We cut the edge of it off. So now we have a straight line to sew that last piece on too. Now, trim it. Summer is almost upon us. My roses are blooming already. Y'all, I had a creature in my front garden yesterday, my front yard, and he was so cute. He was eating the tops off of the weeds, eating like the dandelions and stuff. And I honestly couldn't tell if it was a mouse. It was a very big mouse if it was a mouse, or a chipmunk. I couldn't see its tail, so I couldn't tell. He was so cute though. I have cats, so I don't really worry about mice, but oops. He was quite adorable. Try that again. Oh, got it. Okay. This one. All right. There you go. Okay. I'll just keep on going here, and if you have any questions or want to say hey or whatever, do it. And if you're new, please don't forget to subscribe. There's a button down there, Just click. Okay, one is background. Does that fit? I don't know. No, it doesn't. All right. Well, that does. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And I've already got my 1/4 inch on that one, so I don't have to cut it. Okay, another thorn. Yay. And then another background piece, big background piece. Okay. At least my live stream is still working as opposed to what it did last week. That was crazy. It just quit last week. Just quit in the middle of everything. Okay, this right here, I don't know if you can see where the edge of that is. Hold on a second. I'll fix it. All right, so the block is smaller than this, but you can see the angle. See how the angle's going up like this? Okay, so if I put this piece on here and I put it too far down this way, right? Then when I fold it up, it's gonna go over here. We don't want that. We want it to cover everything, all the paper. So if I put it up here, it would probably be better, right? Because it's gonna fold up and cover all the paper. And then we trim off the outside edge. So be careful when you're doing this that you do that, because that you check, because you will be ripping out stitches if you don't. And the more you do this, the more you see the angles and how they work. Okay, so I stitched it, and then when I fold it back, it covers all of that paper. See? You covered all the paper, so now I can just trim it away. And then we only have like 2 pieces left. Okay. That piece is big enough, I'll save that. So I save all my little scraps like this when I'm working on a project. I save them together, and then when I'm done with the project, if they're big enough for, like, say, crumb quilting, if you don't know what that is, you can Google it, but if they're little crumbs, you know, I'll save them for that. Otherwise, they've probably seen their better days, and I'm done with them. Now, this right here, see how that's flapping in the wind there? Ah, okay. I'm going to take the time to just put a dab of glue on that so it stays square. Because when I sew this together, I don't want that moving. That would be bad. There's another thorn. Cute. Okay. A is also another thorn. Big one. Okay. Cool. Okay. One thing you will find about paper piecing patterns is that the numbers generally, on most patterns, start in the middle. So you'll look for 1 towards the middle somewhere, and then they fold out from there. 1, 2, 3, 4, so forth. So this is 1, 2, 3, and then 4 is way over here, and then 5. So 1, 2. So between 1 and 2, I'll crease it this way. Now, that is piece 2. You see my thumb? That's how big piece 2 is. It's very small. But we're going to do it. All right. 1 is a thorn. Find my thorn fabric. No, wait. No. 1 is a leaf. Ah, 1 is a leaf. Okay. 2 is there. Now, you know how I show that, I've showed this a billion times, but you want to fold back between 1 and 2 just so you have your bearing on where to start. So you have this fold line in here. Well, you can take your piece of fabric, like for 1, the piece I'm going to glue down, and you can lay it a 1/4 inch over that line, and then you don't have to cut that first seam allowance. See, I laid it a 1/4 inch over that line, so when I fold it back to what I would normally do is fold it back to cut my seam allowance, it's already there for me. Sometimes you can do that, sometimes not. Okay, 2 is background. And it's small, so I will use a smaller piece. I think that was like 7 stitches on the machine. Very small. Okay, 3 is equally as small. And this time I will have to cut my seam allowance, so I'll fold this back between 3 and 1 in this case. This time I will cut it off. Yep. Okay. Right. Huh. Okay. Is that going to fit there with the 1/4 inch seam over? Oh, probably better like that. Okay. Okay. 8 stitches on that one. That's crazy. Okay. One, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are both also background. 4 is pretty big, so lay it down like this. Pull this back along the line. Piece. So precise, just whacking off pieces of fabric. Do need to cut that straight though. There we go. Okay, this is another one of those really sharp angles, so I'm going to make sure that it's covering, it's going that way. Okay, so further up that way. Right there, like that. Okay. Okay. This one I'm just going to cut off this excess here. Okay. And then 5 is my last one on here, so 5, like that. I was thinking the other day, if you like to cook, you could make a bookshelf quilt with cookbooks on it. Be kind of neat. I'm a horrible cook. Absolutely horrible. Okay, and that's going to be background also. Which could be this piece right here. Yep. Okay. Okay, so like I said on the other one, this piece right here, this A, is just kind of hanging out in the wind, so I'm going to just put a little bit of glue up here and tack it down before I cut it this time, because I want to make sure that it doesn't move and I get enough fabric and I get it at the right angle and all that. And because this one is also hanging out here, I'm going to do the same over here. Even though it's a tiny little piece, I want to make sure I cut it right. I don't want to cut the tiny piece smaller than it needs to be. Okay, so, not that, this. And when I cut my outside edges of my pieces, I always use a ruler that has markings on it. I wouldn't use this unless I absolutely had to, because I want to make sure that I'm cutting that 1/4 inch seam allowance. Printing can be wrong sometimes, so. Okay. This one here. Right. And then I'm cutting these little pieces off the end because they there's lines there, and it helps line them up with the other pieces later. Basically, like cutting off the dog ears off your half square triangle blocks, you know. Okay, there's my leaf. Isn't that cute? Okay, I'm thinking that I did one of these wrong. That's a thorn. That's supposed to be a leaf. We're going to just say that's a stem. This is my quilt. That's the beauty of this. It's yours. Do what you want to with it. Okay. And the last one. Here we go. There are no quilt police, by the way. So if you can make it work, do it. Okay, so this one is here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, so forth, all the way around. Okay, so 1 and 2 is there. 1 is a pretty big background piece. Haha, we use this one. And 2 is a thorn. I know that's a thorn. Okay. So, all right, there's the line I folded, so I'm going to stick this over 1/4 inch, and I should be good to go. I'm going to fold it back to make sure. See? Okay. 2 is a thorn. Okay. So, I think I can get away with half. Yeah. This way. Huh. Interesting. I have to lift that. Oh, there it is. Hello. Okay. Sometimes you gotta search for the pieces because they're underneath stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna put him there. Okay. All right. Oh, that's 2. 3 is the larger background piece. So I'll do him. Don't forget the binding tutorial next week. I'm just going to basically bind a placemat sort of thing so you can see how it's done and you can participate. I talked about the supplies at the beginning of the video, so if you didn't catch that, you'll need I don't think I can sew and talk at the same time. Hold on. Okay, you'll need a 2 squares of fabric, a square of batting the same size as those squares. Make sure they're squared up, you know, like a rectangle, like a placemat or a coaster or whatever. Some fabric for your binding. We're going to cut the binding, and I'll explain straight binding and bias binding and so forth. And then we're going to put it on. You'll need a needle and thread for the hand part of it. There's not much hand part. It's at the end. So, and the thread, it always should match your binding fabric. In applique, your thread should always match the applique that's going on top. So, okay, 3, 4 is, okay, 4, 5, and all those are the stem where all the thorns are attached. So, look at that tiny little thorn there. Look at, there's my thumb. That's how small that thorn is. That's amazing. All right. 5. you get into a rhythm. You're like, okay, 5, 6, and you just keep going. Seven. I forget what this plant is called. It's from the Harry Potter thing, so the plant actually has a name. I just call it a thorny plant. Works for me. Okay. 8. They're getting bigger. Oops. Right sides together. Hello. Okay, that was 8. That's 10 over there. Where's 9? Ah, see, you got to watch the numbers. So 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And then I would have done this one as 9, but you have to come down here and do this one as 9 so that you can attach 10 to all of it over here. Ha! So watch your numbers. 9 is a background piece. And yes, I have done that a lot. If you really mess up on this, just print another one and start over. It's really that easy. I'm using scrap, so, you know, whatever, really. It's a fairly large piece, 9. So, well, Deborah, it would help if your line was straight. Okay. All right, we're almost done. Wow. Okay, now we do 10. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of glue right here, right there. Tack that down so it doesn't move. All right, now 10. And I'm only going to cut this out to here, and then I'm just going to cut off that excess. Okay. Excuse me a minute. I'm thirsty. Oh, goodness. Okay, that was 10, so you can see that 10 went across that background piece we attached over here. See how the green stem is going to come around and the thorn is on the end? Isn't that cool? Okay, so 10, so 11 is up here. What is 11? Oh, okay, background. All right. Okay, 11 is a tiny little piece of background. That was Edgar. He says hello. Okay, and one more, and then we put it all together. So 12 is also a background. It's this edge over here. Long edge here. Okay. Let's see. Is that long enough? Yeah, I think so. Cut a straight edge. Okay. All right. Now, this is fatter at the bottom than it is at the top, so I'm going to put the fatter part of the fabric down here at the bottom, just to make sure that when I flip it out, it covers everything. And we're all good. All right. Cute. Okay, we'll trim it all up, sew it all together. Trim off this big piece first. 1/4 inch. Got it. Now, that's cool. Okay. All right, so in the beginning I said that we have all these pieces and we have to put them together in order. So let's do that. We've got, so D to E it says. So D, where's D? This is D in my hand. This is E, okay? And you'd have to look at the picture, which is in the pattern itself, on where to sew it. But anyway, that's where we sew it. It's another thorn sticking out of the vine here. So I'm going to sew D to E, and they should match up like that. Okay. And again, I'm going to sew on the line. Okay. Now look how small that thorn is. It is so small. Okay. Okay. So it says, keep looking back here. So C to D and E. So C, that's this one. Okay. I'll put some glue on that. All right. Now you notice here, I don't know if you can see this or not, but my fabric doesn't actually come to the top of where I trimmed the block, but it does cover the stitching line. So I'm not real concerned about it. Where does C go? C goes here. Yes. Here, like this. So see, that was supposed to be a leaf, but whatever. It looks sort of like a leaf. We'll just call it that. Okay. Now in this case, I'm going to sew this halfway, and then I'm going to leave my needle down. I'm going to tear off this paper in the seam allowance. Should have done this beforehand, because you don't want to sew over this both directions. It'll be impossible to get out after the fact. So I should have taken that out before. Sorry. I'll do that in the future. Okay, as long as I get some of it out like that. Okay. Come on. There we go. Work with me here. All right. Okay. So there we go. There's a leaf. Okay. And you could take the paper off completely and then sew it together, but I like to leave it on as much as possible because it keeps everything straight. A lot of times I'm working with bias out on the edges and it distorts and stuff. So it's better, I think, to leave it on if you can. C to D and E, that's what we just did. B to this unit. So here's B. B goes outside of C like this. So the thorn is attached. Okay. This is gonna look so good. Okay, this is sticking up and I don't like it, so I'm going to stick it down. do that. Okay. No. All right. And this one I don't have any seams I'm stitching over, so. Isn't that cute? Okay. So then A would be your next unit, which goes down here. So that goes down here, okay? And in this case, I am going to do this ahead of time. I'm going to peel this off. I'm going to peel off that piece and this other one. Maybe. And then I'm going to lay my seam back this way. So I'm going to go ahead and tear off this corner of this also. Just enough to be not in that seam. So, okay. A goes here. Is that right? That's correct. Yes. These patterns are great. They fit together really well. Whoever designed each one of them did a really good job. And they're free, which is cool. Ta-da! Isn't that cute? Okay, and then finally, you sew all of this to F. I'll do that now. And I will be stitching over this seam, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. Corner. All right, you ready to see? There we go. That's awesome. All paper pieced plant. That's great. This leaf up here was supposed to be this same fabric here, but it doesn't really matter. That is so cool. Okay. Well, that was fun. A little more relaxing than doing the mystery clues. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to hop off of here now and catch you next time. Remember the binding tutorial next week. I hope you can join me for that. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed, please do. Down below, click subscribe. That would be great. And I hope to see you next week. All right. Have fun quilting. Bye.